Welcome to the Marshall News and Views Show. I'm Elaine Conyers, and my guest today is Cal Brink, who is the Executive Director of the Marshall Area Chamber of Commerce, and he heads up the Marshall Economic Development. And boy, there's been so much going on for at least 5 years, right? As not only with the chamber, but with the economic development. And today, I think I'd like to hear more about the EDA.
Yeah, there's no shortage of activity. You can drive around town and see the multiple projects, and we typically get involved in just about every one of those at some phase, whether it's attracting businesses to come to Marshall, but we spend equal or probably more time on actually working with existing businesses, trying to help them find ways to expand, whether that be additional space or buildings or people or products. We kind of get involved in the full spectrum of that, and we've been really fortunate. As you mentioned, for 5, 6, 7 years, we've had a lot of local companies, whether it be Runnings or Ralco or the hospitals or clinics that have done expansions, which in our case ends up being more people move to town. It's job creation, and when someone gets a job here, lives here, they pay taxes here, they buy groceries here, they buy clothes here, they support our other local businesses. So just to say one business grew, it really means all of them grow when you look at the big picture. Right. And that's what our office is really all about, is trying to find any way to help Marshall grow both business-wise, community-wide, and people. Just the overall, our population, 13,680 or whatever it is, somewhere in that was one of the fastest growing rural communities in Minnesota over the last 10-year period. So we're fortunate to be able to be living in a place that is still attracting people and businesses. And you and I have talked quite a few times about the whole regional hub piece.
Yes.
Some of that comes by default. We're the county seat, we're the biggest community in Lyon County, but you also have to do some things to continue to be the regional hub.
Right.
Otherwise, your regional hub starts to diminish, and people travel to Wilmer or Sioux Falls or Brookings or Minneapolis, and they buy more and more stuff there. It reduces your taxes being collected here. So it really is a community-wide effort to make sure that we continue to grow, and that can come in the form of new businesses that we attract, or, like I said earlier, helping our existing businesses. And then you have the other part of the reason people like to come to a regional hub is typically they have more amenities. So you have to continue through council support and city support and government support, try to find ways to continue improving, whether it be parks, bike trails, Red Baron Arena. Everybody now has probably seen that go up.
Yes,
Had a great open house there last week. Was very, very well attended. I think people were really impressed by what they saw.
That's right.
And that's the kind of things that not only young families, but young families in particular, when they're thinking about where they want to work for the rest of their life or where they want to move their family to, those are the kinds of facilities they're looking at. I mean, they want to have a community that has good sporting facilities, good opportunities to do things outdoors, whether it be biking or walking. They want to see those amenities.
That's right. And there's been cultural development also with our wall murals downtown and Mrs. Whitney, and maybe I think there's going to be some more, I'm not sure, but seeing that also develop, I think is very important.
Those things get criticized all the time.
Do they?
When you tell people, or they hear that we're going to have a statue or we're going to have a mural, and there's a certain population that just thinks that you don't need those things, and yet those are the single things that people are attracted to Marshall because of. When people come here to visit, that's the stuff you drive them by, and they're like, wow, this town is really moving forward. Whether it's the Whitney statue or Memorial Park or the murals, there will be another art display out at the Red Baron Arena that sits out in front. That'll basically thank the community for allowing that to happen, because there's some taxes that are collected that go toward the funding of that facility.
But there's also grants for those. I know with the Whitney statue, we got some grants for that, so it really didn't cost the city anything.
Yeah,
the others I can't speak about, but
no,
I know
and unfortunately,
a
lot of people don't realize that, and we don't. It's not that we're not transparent, but we don't make that most of the projects we just talked about were funded through some other mechanism
That's right.
other than taxes.
Yep.
There's legacy funds available through the state that
Yep.
get spent on art projects, bike trails. That's what it was designed to do.
Right, yeah.
And communities that ask for those grants and can show that they're going to put them to good use,
Yeah.
that's where the money goes.
That's
So,
right. Yeah.
I mean, you could argue nobody should get that money and they shouldn't spend it, but the fact of the matter is somebody's going to get it.
That's right.
And we do the same thing with transportation. You know, the pedestrian overpass on Saratoga. We took a lot of criticism. You know, why would we spend the money to build something like that? We didn't need it. It's just for people to walk across. And that was another. It was totally funded through a grant,
Right.
and that grant money was going to go someplace.
Yep,
And
that's
it might as well be here.
Yeah.
And every time I see somebody walk across there, it's like, well, there's one more person that crossed Highway 23 safely. And,
Right, yeah. Yeah, we've had a lot of growth in all of those areas, and that's wonderful. Now, you mentioned the population, and the signs still say 13,600 something, but we've grown more than that.
Yeah, I don't know how much we've grown since the last census.
And I don't even know when the last census.
2010.
Okay.
It's every 10 years. So,
Okay.
it's
So we
always a
have to
mystery.
wait. Yeah.
And we've had some, Schwann's has had some reduction in positions, either moved to the cities or jobs eliminated. I mean, that's just part of a cycle that companies go through as they're growing and finding ways to right size. But we've had more the norm. We've had a lot of companies that have added people.
Yeah.
The expansions of Runnings Warehouse. They've added people. Ralco continues to add people. Avera, ACMC, and there's a lot. The college continues to grow.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're really fortunate to have some of those big companies. U.S. Bank, had the potential to take some jobs from here, didn't, and have actually expanded. So we're fortunate.
And we look at the schools too now. We've had so much increase in population in all of our schools. I'm talking about the public schools now, not the university. But they tried to look ahead. The board tried to look ahead to see how much increase of enrollment there would be in the schools, and it came out that there was even an increase at the high school when they first started talking about it. Oh well, that won't have to be built onto. So it's interesting to see that. Oh yeah, we've got a lot more population.
Yeah, the schools they're going to have to do something with buildings and expansion over time. And sometimes when the referendums don't pass the first time, that's not so uncommon. Shouldn't have been a big surprise, but. That enables them to now go back and kind of rethink, what are the absolute needs versus what they put forward was the right way to do it.
Yes, yeah.
It would have fixed everything, but maybe they're going to have to come up with an ulterior plan or an alternative plan.
Yeah.
But again, that just kind of shows the growth, and that's another thing that when people are looking at Marshall, should we grow here? Should we move to South Dakota? They look at those kinds of things. I mean, they want new schools, they want new technology, they want to see communities that are investing in themselves. And that's where they seem to migrate to.
And they want a safe place, and Marshall is a good sized community. There is some crime committed here, but it's not like the urban areas, and people feel safe that their children can play outdoors and all that without worrying, that something's going to happen to them. So we've got a lot of things going for us, and I think I've told you this before, but people have often come to me and they say, you're always bragging about Marshall. Well, you know what? You don't even have a lake. And I point out, well, we're the Marshall area. We've got one over at Cottonwood and at Lake Chautauqua.
Ballatin, Lake Benton.
So they have to drive a little ways.
There's actually 4 or 5 of them that are within a half hour.
Sure. But it's interesting what people look for and everything. So have you got any vision for the immediate future or the farther down the road?
No, there's some activity that we've started that will end up attracting business. The Commerce Park will be our new the latest industrial park. You may recall the last one was out on Lake Road. That one's pretty much full. That was the running expansion, Beverage Wholesale, Action Track Chair, and Ralco.
That was in the Sonstegard, right?
That was Sonstegard. Yep. That's pretty much full.
Yeah.
And then this year we will start on what's called Commerce Park, which is straight north of there. Actually takes Michigan all the way out to Highway 68. There's no road there yet.
Okay.
So that will be our next one that we can start
Yeah.
filling. And you know how that works. Once you get somebody to start, it seems like that people get attracted
Yeah.
to that growth area. So
Yeah.
we're excited to have that. That'll be pretty much shovel ready. So there'll be
Yeah.
services will be put right in when they're building the road. So then we'll be ready for that. So that's kind of the next big land projects anyway. Sansegard was supposed to be a 5 to 10 year project that filled in a year.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Just all the cards fell in the right
Yeah,
place on that one. And then the area of focus now would probably be around the Red Baron Arena.
Yeah.
That we get some activity going out there, and that could be in the form of, could be some retail shops, could be some office space, could be restaurant, hotel type operations. I mean, the ultimate goal is to have a hotel next to the Red Baron Arena that has a convention center that would hook the two together. So you'd have a hotel, convention center, Red Baron Arena. Because the arena, 6 months out of the year, will be 2 sheets of ice, which we need. But unfortunately, that takes any other events out of there for those 6 months.
Sure.
So we'll have 1 sheet of ice full year, 2 sheets for 6 months. So we'll have one of the rinks will be available for events for 6 months out of the year.
Okay. Yeah.
So the convention center would add the ability to have events all the time. So that would be next on the horizon, and we're trying to find a creative way to get that done through somebody else. So maybe the person that builds a hotel would actually build a convention center and run it, so the city wouldn't have to do it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the focus would be, and Schwann's owns that land out there, so we're working with Schwann's to try to find the developer that will start developing the future of those lots. That's kind of the next. Still some ideas going on with the mall, the redevelopment of the mall area.
How's that coming?
It's behind pace. The hotel and apartment that were going to be built in those parking lots have both kind of stalled out, and that's where some of the tax increment was going to come from to fund the redevelopment of the mall. So he's putting together a proposal now that we're supposed to see this week about how he can redevelop the mall without the hotel and apartment being built right away. So we would still, that mall project would still go ahead, assuming we can live with his proposal. So we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
So that's still on the plate. We've had some interest in snooping around the Kmart building, which sits empty on Highway 23. It'd be nice to get something in there. So there's something somewhat promising, nothing for sure yet, but and I can't talk about that one yet. But that would be another good one to get filled.
Yes.
Outside of that, just continue to look for Air Park East. That's our the land development out by the airport. We had some potential stuff that was going to go there, as you recall, a few years ago.
Yes.
It wasn't aviation related enough, so there's 2 things happening there. We're looking for aviation related businesses that could go there, but we're also, there's a process, it takes a couple years, and we're nearing that now, where we would decertify, it's called, some of those lots out there, so that they could have a business that's not aviation related built on. So probably, hopefully by next year, we'll be able to put some business out there that aren't aviation related. It's quite honestly, Elaine, it's hard to find businesses that are strictly aviation related. Meaning that it has to be work on airplane engines, replace windshields, paint airplanes, spray planes could be one. So there's some that we could get out there, but they don't come along. They're not looking for places right now.
Yeah, that would be great to continue to develop that. Was disappointed that got stopped, but it was one of those things that happens.
But it's one of those, he still built a brand new building in another part.
Sure.
So we didn't lose the business or the person.
Yeah. So that's very good. And then it's going back to the Red Baron, the CBB has been very good about taking over planning and planning the tournaments and contacting those schools and so on.
That's a much bigger job than most people realize.
Oh yeah.
And it's really a combined effort. Darren and Audra at the CBB, which is part of our office, they do a lot of the marketing, and they'll do a lot of the marketing and promotion, trying to find events to come. Yeah. And then some of the tournament play, they work with community services to make sure that they can do anything we can to help. I mean, because this town, prior to the Red Baron Arena, has always done a nice job with sport play, tournament play, and community services, summer stuff. Yeah. We really do a great job. So that all kind of comes part of that whole marketing thing is how do we do that together, and with Harry leaving the community services director, you'll have a new face there, so we'll take over some of what he was doing for a time period too, and work with Kathy at the city and Mary, who is Harry's admin, with some of the scheduling and those things. So the next real challenge that we have, and we're taking it very seriously, is to try to get as many community events in the Red Baron Arena as we can, so that it's not, I mean, quite honestly, it's a ice arena. It's 2 sheets of ice. That's what it predominantly is, but we want to be able to use that other rink as much as we can when there's no ice on it, for things that the entire community would come to, even if they don't ice skate or have kids in hockey. So, it could be concerts, it could be boat shows, car shows, recreation shows, home and garden shows. We've toyed around with some other ideas of auctions, community auctions, or community-wide garage sales that we could do in there. Just to get everybody exposed to the arena. So that's probably the biggest challenge we're going to have going into next year, is now we have this beautiful facility built, and the community wants to see it being used.
Right. Yes, exactly.
So,
and so it would be kind of this spring and summer months when there will be ice on that second. Is that right? That's when all the... See, when does hockey start? I don't even know. It starts in September and runs until probably
6 months, so March, April.
Okay, yeah. And they may find that eventually there will be so many tournaments that will have to build on.
Well, that's the whole concept of the convention center, where you'd have additional space. And then the other thing that probably will be researched, but we need to get some history and some success, is they actually make a cover. It's a rubber tarp that goes over the ice.
Oh, really?
So if you would imagine, it's like a roll of carpet. You roll it out, and it fits the ice rink exact.
Wow.
So then, if you wanted to have a Friday night concert, you roll the cover out, you have the concert, you take the cover back off, and you're skating.
Oh my gosh, I hadn't heard about that one.
They're expensive. They're like $150,000, which that's a lot of money. But when you think about a $16 million facility, probably should have been planned immediately to have that, because then it just becomes a whole different kind of facility.
That's right.
So I would go out on a limb and say there will be a day that we'll have that. Because you hear all the time, well, they can just take the ice off. The technology, you can take the ice and put it back on relatively quickly within a few days, but it takes a lot of man hours to do it. It takes a lot of energy to do it.
Sure.
And then what people don't realize is that ice, all the lines and everything are painted. So when you take the ice off, that all goes away too, and the logos and everything. So it's not just like take the ice off, put it back on, because you got to have somebody come back. They got to paint all the lines on again. So it's actually a pretty major deal. So that's not going to happen.
No.
So the tarp would eliminate the need for any of that. So I'm going to guess that down the road sometime, when we start to show that, hey, we could have had 10 more events there this year if we had this tarp. And those 10 events, at some point, those events start paying for the tarp.
Sure.
So that's probably a good goal to have, is to start thinking about how we would get that financed currently.
One thing that concerns me is that we don't have enough hotel space to begin with, because even the few tournaments that Marshall has had, we fill up the hotels and motels, excuse me, send people to Redwood Falls and Granite Falls, but it'll come.
Well, that's the issue. You can't build a bunch of hotels because you're going to have events. I mean, you'd like to be able to do that, but the fact of the matter is you need to have some success and start showing. And we're going to have some times where we're going to send teams to. We do it already. And ultimately, we'll have another hotel or two. We know that. And of course, obviously, the current hotels like to be busy.
Oh, sure.
So you need to have the right amount, and you don't want a bunch of hotels that are full a couple times a year. You need to have events so that it drives the need for those hotel rooms more often. I mean, we're better off sending people. If it's only going to be a couple times a year, we're better off having them go to Redwood or Granite. As much as I hate to say that. But the more events we have, where we bring more teams to town, because we now have 2 sheets of ice. So, and I don't know these numbers, but instead of having an 8-team tournament, maybe you can have a 12 or 16-team tournament, which is going to fill the hotels up. But we haven't proven that yet. I mean, we've always had some events where we send people out of town for rooms because we have to, but we need to have 15, 20 of those weekends where we have 500 hotel rooms, close to 500 hotel rooms in Marshall.
Oh, we do. Okay.
Now, some of those hotel rooms are aged because of the year the hotel was built.
Yeah.
Doesn't make them a bad hotel. But people like to stay in newer hotels.
Yeah.
They like swim pools.
Sure.
And we have some that have all that. We have some that have restaurants either right next door or within them. People like that. Even our aged hotels are, for the most part, in pretty nice shape. I mean, they've renovated, they've done some nice things. I was just in one of them the other day, and I was really impressed by how nice the rooms were and the hallways were nice.
Sure.
But there's actually some tournaments where you bid where it'll tell you the minimum amount of hotel rooms your town has to have to even put the bid in.
Oh, really?
And we've seen some that'll say you have to have 700 hotel rooms or 1,000 hotel rooms. And we just don't have that. So we don't bid on them.
Yeah, sure.
You know, we can stretch it and we can add Redwood Falls and Granite so we get another couple hundred. But the fact of the matter is that we will, at some point, we've got a lot of interest from hoteliers that want to come here.
Okay.
Some of them wanted to see the Red Baron Arena get built. You know, it's kind of like if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, that's right.
One of the lots right next to the Red Baron Arena was bought by a hotel person that was going to build, and they're kind of waffling now, trying to decide if they want to sell the lot to another hotel group or if they want to do it themselves. So there's some things in the works.
Okay, well, good. No, it's just a wonderful addition, and it's just. I've said this before, it's such a great time to be living in Marshall because of the growth and the development that has taken place. And people like you and Ben who just left us, you guys had the vision and you knew how to do this and you did it. Sometimes cities stop at one of those levels and they don't get the whole thing done.
No, we were pretty fortunate. Really, Ben, I think he was here 8-9 years. It was great to have him for that long. And it's not so uncommon for a city administrator to move locations.
Right.
I mean, people don't kind of understand how that. When they come to town and take that job, they're at the top job they're going to get. I mean, they can't get promoted to the next thing above city administrator because that's it.
That's it.
So in order for them to advance their career, many times they have to move to a bigger town or a different location.
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of similar to getting a promotion within a company that you can keep getting promoted up the ladder. So 9 years is a pretty good stint, and Ben obviously did a lot of good things while he was here. And the Nicholas Johnson, the guy that's going to take his place coming from Canby, he'll be just as good. I mean, it takes time that they have to learn the area and kind of the system. But the thing that we have going for us here, we have also have a very supportive mayor.
Yes.
City council is, as you know, is very supportive. They back community growth ideas. They're willing to invest in the community. That's not the case all over.
Always, no. And it's not always been the case in Marshall either.
And there's a certain group that thinks, we don't need this growth and we don't need to spend this money, we don't need to do that, and that's their opinion. And fortunately, they're the minority. We don't have that mass of people that are saying we're doing things too fast or you're spending too much money. And everybody hates to pay taxes, us included. But the fact is that taxes go to provide the things you need in a community, and the more taxes that get paid, the more you get provided. I mean, that's just kind of how it works. And I've seen it now firsthand that it's not like the city sits there and tries to find ways to waste money.
No,
I mean, it's just the opposite of that.
That's right. Yeah.
But unfortunately, it costs money to run government, and to provide whether it's firemen or policemen or things that make us safe, better streets.
Yep.
It's what it costs. But I actually had a conversation with the mayor the other day. He said, compared to other communities, we're actually, as a percentage-wise, our people pay less taxes. So I actually asked them if there's a report that we could show, because I think we need to be transparent with some of that.
Yeah.
And compare it to some of the equal-sized towns like Wilmer, Hutchinson, Redwood Falls, Pipestone. What is their taxes versus what we collect here? And see if we're paying extremely more, then we need to find out why and find ways to reduce that. But if it's what he said, he felt that in many cases we're less, especially some of the small communities. I mean, small communities, when you have less people, they still have to provide those services.
Sure.
So you might be surprised if you looked at some of the small towns around Marshall. They could actually be, as a percentage, you could actually pay more. So, and I'm not saying that it is that way, but we're going to actually do a study that will show us that. And I mean, I think that'll be some good information. And transparency to the community, the people that pay taxes, it should and is important.
Yes.
I mean, they should be able to know if we're paying X amount of dollars, why are we paying it?
Right.
and what are we getting for it.
Yeah.
And
That'll be very interesting to
Yeah.
see that, because it certainly isn't what the general public feels.
well, and some of it's not community driven. I mean, there's a certain amount that's state taxes or federal taxes that we
yeah.
don't control, obviously.
That's
but-
right, yeah.
And everybody knows Minnesota, Minnesota isn't one of the lowest tax states in the nation, that's for sure. So that doesn't help us. When you combine that with the local taxes, the numbers get pretty big.
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah, it's all really interesting, and it's a good feeling to see us move forward as we have, and I just hope that we can continue to do that, and the way everything, like you said, the way everything is situated right now, I think that's going to continue to go forward. And
there's always change that happens. In our case, it's usually pretty positive change. New city administrator, new community service director, the finance person for the city leaving. That's 3 key people. So that's always, it's always a little scary because you got all that new.
Yeah.
There'd be a few new city council seats that will come
That's
up
right.
in November. So that can be a change.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we have enough support and enough. You surround any new people with the current people that are here that have had success. You really increase your odds of that success continuing.
Yeah.
From the chamber side, we continue to grow there as well. We had a goal way back when to get to 300 members. We got to 300, then we had a goal to get to 400 members, which was really a stretch. So we set a 500 goal, which we knew we were never going to get to. Well, we actually last month went over 500.
You did? Oh my gosh!
That's double the size it was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
More than double the size. So that speaks really loudly too for the community and the businesses. That businesses really support what's going on. And
that is.
so we've had really good success there too. And Brad, kind of headed up the whole membership piece for the last couple of years, and has brought a whole new level of expertise and professionalism. Where it was Karen and I doing that just kind of as part of our job, where he got to take it on as his entire job for a couple of years, and now he slowly is taking over more of the responsibilities that I was doing. So it's all good.
Good. And then we got to make sure that you stay too,
I will for a time. I'll sure. My goal is always to get somebody trained to take my place and then leave when the timing seems right. And when that time comes, it'll be a good thing.
Yeah, well, you say so, I don't, but anyway. Well, anyway, it's just good to have you back on the show. We haven't had you here for a time. It's been so much going on, and it just seems with the city, especially now that we've filled these vacant spots. It's such a relief. We put in time into that. That was really something, but got the job done, and now we
look forward to those new people coming on board. Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, and we'll have you back soon.
All right.